Hello friends, this video on improvement in food resources part 2 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Now let us look at how can we improve the crop yield, right? Now when we think of crop, what all comes to our mind? What are the different crops? I really don't need to explain you what is a crop and what are the different crops, but just to have an introductory slide, let us quickly look at the different types of crops which are cultivated and which we use or which we consume in our day-to-day life. Let us talk about the pulses. When you think of pulses, in India we mostly call it as dal, right? We generally have it with either rice or with chapati. So it is a very common, or you can say it is a daily food for each of us. So in pulses you have many different kinds of pulses like gram, pea, black gram, green gram, lentils. So these are the different types of pulses, and the pulses are a very good source of protein. So you will often see that people say that you should have a lot of pulses in your diet because it is a good source of protein. Again, let's talk about the cereals which form the basic food for us, like rice, wheat, maize, millets. These are the cereals. Now rice and wheat, I'm sure all of you are aware of. When I talk of maize, what is maize? Maize is nothing but makai. This is a term which most of the Indians will be familiar with, right? So this maize, millets is also commonly known as bajra. So we use this as our main food. For example, in order to prepare rice, pulao, or in order to prepare chapati, right? So these are the things which we consume in our day-to-day life. Again, these cereals are a very good source of carbohydrates. Now, as I mentioned before, in order to live healthy, our body needs nutrients. So it is not only just one nutrient which it needs everything in a combination. It needs vitamins, minerals, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, everything in a correct proportion, right? So it is not that you keep consuming only rice and you think that only by consuming carbohydrates I'll live healthy. That is not possible. So our diet should have a combination of everything. Next, if we talk about the oil seeds, the seeds which can generate oil, for example, groundnut, castor, soya bean, sesame, linseed. So you would have heard of this oil also, the sunflower oils which are available in the market. They are also obtained from these oil seeds. Similarly, you would have heard of this castor oil. Castor oil some people often put it on hair because they say that castor oil will help in hair growth, right? Similarly, you have soya beans. Soya beans, they help in getting, from soybeans you not only get soya oil, but you also get things like soya sauce, soya chunks. There are so many things which you actually obtain from soya bean, and these oil seeds are also a good source of fats, right? Okay. Then we have a variety of vegetables. You have green vegetables, you have colored vegetables, right? And they are all a very good source of vitamins and minerals. And of course, we have fruits, which are again a good source of vitamins and minerals. So a diet which has a combination of all of this is said to be a good diet, which can keep you healthy, right? So these are the crops which are cultivated in fields, right? So now what are we going to study is how can we improve the yield of these crops? How can we improve the production of these crops? Now, how do we know that, what is the basic concept behind this improvement in crop yields? Now, since we have a variety of crops which are being cultivated, and it is observed that different crops need different climatic conditions, they need different temperature, they need different photo periods for their growth. For example, so I talked about so many crops, right, in the last slide, but it doesn't mean that all of them needs the similar kind of environment for their growth. For example, if you take wheat, Wheat might have its own requirements. It needs a specific type of a climate. It needs a specific type of temperature for its growth. Whereas if you take the example of, say, cotton, maybe cotton needs a completely different environment altogether. So each crop will need a different type of climate, a different type of temperature, a different type of sunlight duration. Sunlight duration means the amount of time or the period of time for which it needs exposure to sunlight. Sunlight is very, very important for plants, right? Because it is in the presence of sunlight that plants prepare their food by the process called photosynthesis. So now all these requirements vary with each crop. So there are some crops which grow only in rainy season. For example, maize, cotton, these are some of the examples of crops which grow only in rainy season because these crops want more water, correct? Similarly, there are other crops which grow in winter season. They don't need too much of water, but they want the climate to be cold. They want the temperature to be less. So examples of such crops are wheat, gram, mustard, linseed. These are some of the examples of crops which grow only in winter season. So now, because of these different requirements of different crops, we have been able to come up with some techniques which can improve the yield of the crop. So what are those techniques? The first one is crop variety improvement. Next is crop production improvement. And the last one is crop protection improvement. So these are the three techniques which we will discuss in this lesson and which are helpful in improving the yield of crops. So we will talk about each of them in detail one by one, but just a quick one-liner discussion on each of them. So when I talk of crop variety improvement, what do we do here? We actually improve the variety of the crop. That means we actually improve the quality of the crop so that the outcome which we get, or so that the result which we get, is of good quality. In crop production improvement, we focus on the amount of crop which is getting generated. So we ensure that more and more crops get produced. So for that we apply some techniques again. In crop protection management, we ensure that the crops stay protected. Nobody or no outsider should come and harm the crops, because if somebody harms the crop, again that will affect the crop yield, right? So here we will take care of the crop protection. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.